Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bit About Crypto. It must be Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific because you're hearing me, and I'm David James. I'm the Job Whisperer. I'm the co-host of Bit About Crypto. Bit About Crypto is a show designed for human interest with telling how people get into crypto, different takes. So please support the show, hit the like button, and subscribe. And you can always change your mind. I'm here once again with my co-host, Robo-Recruiter Dave Hampton. How are you, man?
I'm doing very well. Doing very well. How was your vacation?
My vacation was really, really good. And
to Costa Rica, huh?
Yeah, to Costa Rica. Had a good time.
I'd like to go. My dad's been many times scuba diving down there.
Yeah, Pura Vida. Actually, in Jamaica, it's in Costa Rica. Jamaica used to be my spot, but now Costa Rica is. They say Pura Vida.
Pura Vida.
Pure life, right? And literally, it's hello, it's goodbye, it's thank you, it's you don't say, it's like whatever. So really, you can actually just get by and have conversations with the ticos down there by just saying Pura Vida. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. It's like, oh, did you see that
paradise.
car? Did you see that car? Pura Vida. Right?
Yeah.
It's funny how it was, but the people, of course, they crept into my heart, and I'm really grateful. So, so let's just get some housekeeping out of the way. So, yeah, we're Blockchain Recruiters is our sponsor, and that's us. And we have a recruiting firm throughout the world, right? We aggregate candidates in the blockchain, NFT, crypto space. So any type of candidate you need, we want to know about you. So if you actually need people for one of your blockchain projects, and you're hearing about this podcast for the first time, contact the Robo-Recruiter over here. Call Dave Hampton. Give them the digits on how they can find you.
760-513-6151.
Okay.
Or you can email me at dave@blockchainrecruiters.net.
Make sure it's the net. If you don't use the net, you won't be caught on our net, and that's a bad thing. And if you actually are someone who's looking for a job or a purpose or in the blockchain space, then reach out to me. And you can find me on Twitter. I'm at the BTC Recruiter. Right, and everybody in the crypto is doing Telegram, and I should change these to the same. But at Telegram, I'm the BTC Recruiter. Of course, you can email me too, davidj@blockchainrecruiters.net. So we'll talk. We'll get into. We'll talk about some of the jobs we have a little bit later.
Yep.
Right. So anyhow, one of the things I'm finding, Dave, is that, and you know this as well. There are these people that got one foot in and one foot out, right? They've got their day gig and the thing they've done, and then they've got that purposing on NFTs or crypto or blockchain.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of that, right? And so, and that's the great thing about working as recruiters in this new space. It's like, passion over pedigree. I mean, pretty much everybody's skill set, it can be repurposed in the blockchain community, in this ethos, in some way. I mean, even I got one guy. He's an elevator operator, or not elevator operator, elevator repairman. But he wants to be in crypto so bad. It's because he'll explain crypto and he'll break it down for you. And there's a place for him as a community manager somewhere. So I just want to say that. And that's what brings me to our next guest, Richard Carthon. Right? He's got the day gig, but he's got the thing that actually fuels his fire. And with no further ado, let's bring him on. Richard, welcome to Bit About Crypto.
What's up, man? What's up, Davids? Happy to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks.
You go by Richard, Richie. What do you go by?
I go by Richard, Rich, Richie. Just depends on who I'm talking to that day.
Okay.
He goes by Dave when I'm around.
Well, he makes me go by Dave.
And what are the odds? I go by David only.
Yeah.
at all times. Unless my wife is speaking to me, then I answer.
Yeah, he's very particular. The older you get, you become more who you are. Yeah.
So Richie, so you actually you're a graduate of the Green Machine, Tulane, right?
Yes, roll wave.
Yeah. Let's talk about.
You say roll wave? Is that what you said?
I did roll wave.
So
okay. So
let's talk about that. Are you a natural Louisiana boy? Is that your state your whole life?
It is. So I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. It's about 5 hours away from New Orleans, and then went down there for college, and then stuck around for a couple of years, and actually recently moved out to Austin at the beginning of 2020. So right before the world decided to take a vacation.
Yeah. Austin's really, it's becoming the I won't say the crypto, but it's really the Bitcoin capital of the United States.
It's a cleaner version of New Orleans, if you ask me. But
yeah,
So
there's a lot to unpack, but absolutely, it's becoming really, really, really crypto heavy, which is really fun.
Yeah.
How old were you when you knew you were going to go to, or you said, "Hey, I'm gonna be a Tulane person, a Green Machine"? How tell me about the genesis of going to Tulane. Did it happen early? Did it happen late?
It happened late. So I actually went to Tulane. I was a dual sport athlete. I played Division I football and baseball, and I was getting recruited by a couple of different schools. And luckily, Tulane came because they had a brand new coach, Coach CJ, who's the wide receivers coach for the New Orleans Saints right now. And they're like, "Hey, well, we're looking at you," because my thing was I always wanted to play both sports. I wanted to play football and baseball, and
as a pro,
allowed me to do that,
or just in Division I.
Division I college,
okay,
for sure. And if I had the chance to do both, I definitely would have loved to do that. But baseball is probably calling my name a little bit more. I actually had a chance to go pro out of high school, but I know that I just love both sports, and I wanted to be able to go play my sport and get a great education. And Tulane had the best of all that. So, plus you're in New Orleans, man.
So hold on. Speaking of New Orleans, this is a bit of trivia for you. Do you know what Hall of Famer preferred sport is baseball?
Drew Brees.
Yes, sir. Did you know that about him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's his number one sport was baseball, then basketball, then football. That's crazy, man. So
I read his book back in high school.
Oh, good for you, man. I saw him speak a couple weeks ago at this fundraiser thing. So
that's awesome.
It's interesting. I'm a Saints fan, so all things Drew Brees.
Who dat, baby?
Who dat?
I like you more and more by the second, man.
That's right, man. That's right.
And I think it was
David's a Cowboys fan, so
hey, man, don't say that so loud. Don't say that so loud.
I mean, each his own. You want to live in misery. That's fine with us.
By the time this thing airs, I'm sure the Cowboys will be out of the playoffs, right? Having been up 28-0 at the first half, only to lose 35.
They almost lost the watch.
They tried. Yeah. But anyhow, so I got a question for you, Richard. So who is the only Heisman Trophy winner not to actually go into the NFL?
I don't know.
Charlie Ward.
Oh.
He won.
He played basketball.
Yeah, he started with the Knicks. Yeah. So when you say that you're a two sport guy, so what position did you actually play football?
I was a safety, and then in baseball, I was an outfielder.
Actually, you like hitting them hard, huh?
Oh, you know it, man.
Yeah, safety. That's the Deion Sanders position, right? Is that the free safety?
Cornerback. He was a cornerback.
That's like when I watch, and I'm like a neophyte. I don't know stats. I can't talk about the way David can. But when I watch that position, that like safety, that's just an impossible position to play. It's you got to grab, you got to tag, et cetera,
Well,
and
it's the outfielder position of football. If you ask me.
What'd you say, Richard?
Is that you're the last line of defense? If you mess up, everybody knows. Like literally, everybody else on the field could mess up, but if you mess up, everyone knows.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so let's talk about your childhood. So, you grew up, what type of house? What did your mom and dad do? What was that like? Brothers, sisters, talk about it.
Yeah, so grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana with both my parents. My mom and dad are both medical technologists, which is just a fancy way of saying they look at blood samples when you send them to the lab for review.
But not phlebotomists. Not phlebotomists. They don't take blood. They just review in the lab. Got it.
Correct. And I had two older sisters, one that I grew up with in Shreveport, who actually now just recently moved to Austin with her husband. It's growing up in Shreveport was interesting. It was, I don't know, man, it was a place that I knew that I wanted to eventually get away from, because I feel that there was a lot of backwards thinking. I feel like it's slowly progressing, but I knew that there's more that the world had to offer.
Hold on a second. We're going to unpack this. Let's talk about grade school or high school. Like, what are you into? And because when somebody says to me something like that comment right there, everyone's backwards thinking. It doesn't surprise me that person is an evangelist or proselytizer of crypto. Right? Because crypto is the most forward thing, the most advanced thing I know, et cetera, et cetera. So
right.
I really want to unpack, give me some examples of how, this was occurring in your life.
Yeah, man. So the two quickest examples I can give: back in sixth grade, I was probably one of the more popular kids because I played sports and whatever. And there was a pretty popular girl that was there too as a cheerleader. And one day she approached me and she was like, "Hey, did you hear about Chris and so and so?" So at the time, cheerleaders, white girl. I am obviously black, and then my friend Chris was starting to date his white girlfriend. And she came to me. She said, "That's wrong, right? Like that goes against the Bible." And I was like, "I don't think that's how that works." But,
Well, you guys, hey, you are the South. No,
yeah, man. So
go on.
yeah, man. But it was just stuff like that. And then unfortunately, like my very first day in high school, I made the varsity baseball team. So I was a freshman in high school. And like after like 2 practices at the freshman team, the coach said, "Nah, you need to come to varsity." So the very first day out there at the end of practice, this guy ends up calling me the N-word. And I'm just like, okay, well, welcome to high school.
Well, no,
So,
wait. There's 2 ways that word is said, right? There's the angry, hateful way, and then there's the way that it's used, like within the.
I'm guessing it was the hateful way.
Yeah.
both in the context of this conversation weren't going to be good, but it was the hard.
No, I get it. I'm just trying to context it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're saying is just from a consciousness standpoint, you knew early on that
I knew the world couldn't just think like this.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
as far as like there's got to be more people who like this can't like just be like the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I haven't really got into your story and graduating up, but about that, one of the things that I stand for and I support the fact is that when I first got into Bitcoin, right? Everybody was like, yeah, what is Ponzi scheme, whatever. But then when COVID happened, I noticed that Black Lives Matter was saying, no, pay us in Bitcoin, right? And I'm not trying to take a political stance for or against Black Lives Matter, but Black Lives Matter is a marginalized group, right? And it's rising up to actually have its voice heard, right? With the conditions of that, whatever, I'm just going to parent the narrative there. And they're saying, pay us in Bitcoin, right? Sound money, right? And the thing about like a lot of the NFTs things, right? It gives marginalized people, right? Females, minorities, gays. It gives them a voice in an equal footing and an equal setting. And I know that we're gonna talk, but since you brought this up, let's talk about your awareness. We'll come back and we'll retrace like where we were to get you here, but talk about that as it occurs for you.
Yeah. So crypto is the great equalizer. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in the world. You have, as long as you have internet, you have access, and you don't need a lot to get started. And there's not too many places in the world where you can put in $100 and have that turn into thousands of dollars in a short amount of time. And immediately by having that, now people have ways to have savings accounts. Now they have ways to have access to loans that they otherwise wouldn't have access to. Now they have ways to be able to receive and send money that is theirs and that no one can take from them. So there's been no better point in human history that has put literally everyone on the same playing field in this space. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for people to get into crypto and learn about it, because it's legitimately changing lives.
All crypto?
Not all crypto.
Okay.
No, we got to get into that. And so there's definitely safer ways to get into crypto, but I like to generally say that crypto will help get you there so that you can get your curiosity. So
you're right.
As soon as you can spark curiosity, now you have people asking questions, and now you can start to guide.
Exactly right. I love fish, right? So okay, you love fish, right? And you realize it's like I don't love all fish, right? There's a kind of like it. There's taste, right? So it's onto that thing. So since we're here, I heard you say was one could put money in, and actually there would be this asymmetric return, which I absolutely believe. That can be the thing, and also that can't be the thing, depending on if you're not in the right situation. But what I wanted to ask you is, the NFT space had made me start thinking about crypto in a different way, because when I came to crypto for the greed. I'll be honest with you. I came for greed. I stayed for the ideology. And then basically I said to David, I said, I have to repurpose all my recruiting efforts to be in the blockchain space. And he didn't come as quickly as I did, but once he got here, he came. So do you have any opinions on how blockchain NFTs, something is empowerment in addition to the money, but not just for the money?
Yeah, and honestly, it's not all about the money. So what NFTs are doing also is providing access to people you wouldn't necessarily have access to. If you think about two of the most popular NFT projects that are out there right now, whether it's be a crypto punk or whether it be a Bored Ape Yacht, if you would have minted them, and at the time of mint, I think it was a couple $100, right? Um, you would now own something that's worth six figures. And in the case of CryptoPunks, it took you 3 years to do it. In the case of Bored Ape Yacht, it took you 8 months. But not just that, you now have access to be able to go to events where you're meeting with a plethora of people with all kinds of outrageous and amazing backgrounds. So now you actually have a seat at the table to begin having more conversations on how you can become more involved and do more things.
Mhm.
It's again giving people access that they normally would never have, and it takes minimal amounts to be able to get in if you get in at the beginning.
So for my audience, right, and the people that are here on my in my audience, these are people that hopefully the audience is geared toward learning about crypto in a certain way, right? And
Right.
when we started talking about crypto, we were talking about, you know, this one good, this one bad. Not so much as should you buy. We don't endorse nor oppose a specific crypto, right?
Right.
But but then all of a sudden, and this just happened this year, like around February or March, all of a sudden everybody started talking about NFTs, and it's been this tsunami of activity and energy about it, right? And so one of the things I had somebody ask me, and I kind of struggled with this. So it seems to me this NFT is just making the world a big swap meet where all you're doing is we're just selling art, baseball cards, and lifestyle. That's it. And I understand the concept better than that. And I could go, you know, as deep, and I can split the atom with you, right? But for our audience, right, why don't you actually counter the argument that that person said, if you don't mind, Richard?
I can, but I don't know that it's wrong. The way that I would initially phrase what NFTs are to somebody is the modern day flex.
Okay.
It is. And because if you think about it right now,
What do you mean
why
context flex for my audience?
So why do people buy Louis Vuitton bags? Why do people buy?
You're talking about the flex car.
Yeah. So like actual flexing. So like you are trying
that's
to
what
show
I thought you meant, right?
status to society
Okay.
by not saying anything, by having a thing. And so if you look at some of the original NFTs in their true creation, it was to show that you were one of the originals, or you were one of the cool ones, what they stand for. Even like, again, going back to like CryptoPunks, it's showing like why Bitcoin was originally made, which was to give power back to the people, to rebel against the institution, etc., to show that you were part of a group and a movement. Now there's a lot of other ways in which it has transformed into where are we spending a lot of our time right now? It's online. It's in areas, the new digital space. There's a reason why Facebook is repositioning themselves as Meta and are trying to take on the metaverse. It's because more people are going to be in a virtual world. So when that happens, how do you then show status and everything else? And one of the first ways that you can do that right now is through NFTs. So it's transforming. There are way more amazing things that NFTs offer. But if you think about the hook, like what's bringing everyone there in the first place, I think that's really what has brought people to the dance, right? There's a whole lot of reasons why people go to a party. Maybe a friend brings them, maybe they heard about it online, maybe there's no, like, however you got to the party, once you're there, you can then decide if you want to stay, you can decide if you want to leave, you can say how long you want to be there. You can decide, hey, there's actually another after party, I'm gonna go to that one instead.
Hey, where is everybody?
Exactly.
Right. I guess you know what kind of partier I was, right? No, your analogy is really good. And this is fantastic. We got to the meat. And we're going to come back to this. But so you're in high school. What are you doing? Are you hooping every day? Are you playing baseball are you just playing every sport that's out there? And then just going to school? I mean, talk to me about your life. Did you fish? Right? I mean, what are you doing up to like high school? Right.
Yeah. So come high school, man, I'm just flat out football and baseball because it's pretty much all year round. And so I'm like training, I'm doing sports, doing my education. So I took my family took education very seriously. My sister was extremely smart, actually got a National Merit Scholarship to Howard University. I had an opportunity, even if I didn't play sports, I had some scholarships lined up to be able to go to school. So I was very much on top of my work and also just very dedicated to my sports. But I was also, this is during the time when Modern Warfare just came out. This is PlayStation 3 and 4. So played a lot of Call of Duty Zombies with my friends, hanging out with the boys. And yeah, I mean, just that pretty much what took up a lot of my free time.
So tell me what you're thinking about what your life's going to be right around the time you're going to prom, your senior year.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to college. I'm about to go to Tulane.
Was Tulane the choice? How did it become Tulane?
Yeah.
Were there any other choices or any other considerations? If you're had this athletic prowess, you must have been recruited somewhere else.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing he went because Tulane gave him the chance to play both football and baseball.
Yeah. So I got recruited by a couple of different places. Could have went to Cornell. Could have went to Air Force Academy. Had some local schools in Louisiana, like ULL and Southeastern and some others. And yeah, ultimately just landed on Tulane.
Okay, so you're going to Tulane. You're going to get this degree that you got, right? Tell everybody your business degree.
Yep. So I ended up getting a business degree, business management. Yeah.
Okay, now this is a really interesting question because I've seen a phenomenon happen, right? I'm from the generation that you go to college. You go, right? And then that will ensure you a job. Now what I've seen happen, and it's all because of the central bankers and the money printing, right? That in 2008, right, the jobs that were supposed to be there weren't there, right? And then also this most recent COVID thing, right? But what I see is that there are people who actually get $100,000 worth of loans. They go get a degree, they come back and they qualify for the job at Starbucks. And the unambitious person who didn't go to college doesn't have $100,000 in debt, and they got 4 years of work experience at the Starbucks, and they're the manager, right? And I'm not saying that happens to everybody, but it's a bit of a metaphor. And so I ask people like that of your age, right? You're like a junior going into your senior year. How are you seeing this degree thing paying off for you, right? And what is your ambition or your expectation that this degree is going to get you, and was or was not that met? Talk about that.
Yeah. So in my situation, I had a dream of actually going to law school. In the event that sports didn't work out, I knew that I wanted to do a JD, potentially JD MBA. And I actually got into Tulane Law School. So at the time, though, I was part of a business fraternity. And one day, I actually helped one of my business partners create an app. And it ultimately failed, but going through that process changed my entire life because I realized I was very passionate about entrepreneurship, creating things, and creating process. And so it kind of shook the foundation of like what I thought I envisioned from my life. And so my senior year, I actually raised money for my own startup, which was a calendar app. And I decided to not go to law school so that I could pursue this. And in the event of doing that, I actually got a job working at Merrill Lynch. So my degree actually did directly help me get into a pretty solid job.
And okay, so are you like a FINRA advisor, try to get people to take their money from one box and put it into the box that you represent? Was that what you were doing?
That's what's pretty much what I was getting into. Before I got too deep into it, though, I actually ended up quitting that job because I wanted to go all in on my startup. And so I was able to raise a little bit more money. I said, I have this much time. There's no greater time to be risky than right now. So went all in on the startup. And honestly, when I look at like a college degree, when I look at like entrepreneurs and working in startups and everything else, there's a lot of benefit to doing a startup. In my opinion, because you have to wear a tremendous amount of hats and you have to just figure it out. And if you think about how school is set up, it is you are told to go study a thing and then regurgitate information. You're not taught how to think. And if you look at a lot of positions that pay extremely well, like managers, et cetera, they're getting paid because they know how to think and they know how to manage people and they know how to do things in a nice teamwork environment. So having experience with teamwork with sports, startup experience with having to wear a lot of hats, and then also having to do things in a very quick and fluid mindset, you're able to then go into like more established locations, provide new ideas, but then also a way to move faster through it. So I think it's really beneficial for people to challenge themselves to learn how to think within their job and not just regurgitate information.
Let me put you on the spot here. How do you actually enroll people around you that you influence to think, to start thinking? And I didn't know I was going to say this question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you're pretty magnetic, a bit prophetic, and I'd appreciate it if you would be vulnerable with me on that.
Yeah, I always ask people, no matter what they're doing right now, well, what do you want to do? Like, are you doing what are you, first of all, are you happy with what you're doing? And if the answer immediately is no, then what would make you happy? And pretty much every single person, as soon as you ask them what would make them happy, they immediately go to a place because they've already thought this through, because we all do, right? We ultimately want to be happy and fulfilled in our job. So then my next question is what stops you from doing that?
Yeah.
And then silence, right? And it's because you're in the comfort of your job. You have a steady paycheck. You already you have all this like comfort in having already been at a job, understanding what's going to happen. And it's risky. It is uncomfortable to then go and pursue something that's potentially happier, but it's a lot more uncertain. And I'm always going to be a advocate to pursue it, especially whether you're young or even if you're older, and you can find a way to make it work, because if you are truly excelling at your job, if you're good at what you do, you can go bet on yourself for a year. And if it doesn't work out, go find a comfortable job again. But you'll never know if you don't at least step out on your own faith and on what you do for yourself, like have faith in yourself and go for it. Because otherwise you're just always going to feel like, well, what if, and we don't have time for that. COVID showed everyone like, hey, like you don't have to be in this day job. Like you can go and work remotely. You can go and try something new, and it could really help change your life and mold it into like what you truly want to pursue.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's you never regret the things you do. You regret the things you don't do.
I don't know. I've done some things I regret, but go on.
So, I mean, like for instance, for me, like I went to school, double majored in English and psychology, and my goal was to get out in 4 years. I seen all my friends, do the 5, 6, 7 year. Granted, some were working, some weren't, but I didn't want to be in college after 5 years. I just I'm not. So I didn't study abroad. I wish I would have studied abroad. I wish I would have gone, and seen different countries and stuff. Quote unquote.
You went to New York City. That's like abroad.
Well, that was. I mean, I was getting a master's degree. That was. I mean, I don't disagree with you. It's where I met my wife. But yeah, I mean.
I did double entendre. Met abroad. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It's funny how you amuse yourself.
Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time with myself, actually.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's you have some incredible wisdom, man. It's. I mean, you're so young, and all the things that you're saying are so true. Like you have to, you have to bet on yourself. You have to go out and just do what you want to do. If you don't do it, then try again, and fail again, learn again, do it again. It's just one of those things.
I was having a conversation with my son. He's probably about your age, right? I'll tell you, he's 32. So
he's not his age. He's younger than that.
Okay.
I'm a little younger than that.
Yeah,
I'm 28.
not little. You're
Okay.
way younger.
Okay,
Than that.
I got more kids that are about your age, all right? But I was talking to my son about this, and I just said to him, I said, Daniel, there is nobody coming to rescue you, right? It's
No.
like we had the society post World War II that we've got these social programs. Well, we've got welfare, we got disability, we got Social Security. Back then, these things were all day. But then, like any type of government program, it gets corrupted and et cetera, et cetera. And it's like and now he's out on because he was working at the Bank of America. Shout out to Daniel, love you, baby boy. Anyhow, he's working at the Bank of America. And he says, Dad, I hate it. And by the way, if somebody actually says they're into crypto, we're supposed to refuse them an account right here. I think that attitude has changed. Well, my point is. Yeah, no one, and you're David's a testament to it. I'm a testament to it, and you clearly, Richard, that you got to go out and make your own. You got to make your own way, right? Because the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? Because that's I'm taking more swings at the bat, right?
Right.
Pitching. So, but anyhow, I did ask. This is one of my signature lines. How did crypto find you?
So Like I was just telling y'all, I was working. I went all in on the startup, and I realized that
We know nothing about
basically-
what that startup is. Nothing.
So it was a
which
calendar
one?
platform.
The question is which one? Because you've got several.
Yeah, so the startup followed my calendar. It was a calendar platform that was supposed to put all your calendars in one convenient location. It could be your social one, it could be your work calendar, etc. And I actually got to go through like 2 accelerator programs down in New Orleans. Shout out to Propeller, and also shout out to the Idea Village. Those were both really awesome. And I basically learned how to get I finally got product market fit. But as soon as I found it, I've realized that I need to go away from a community model, high growth, to a SaaS model. So to flip that switch, to do the extra work, I knew I needed to raise X amount of money. So what I did was I took myself, and I had an employee at this time. I took us both off of being salaried, and I had to extend our runway. So I went and worked at an artificial intelligence company in New Orleans, and was doing sales there while I tried to, go fundraise and continue it on. So while I was there, the very first day on my job, the guys, my boss says, "Hey man, what do you know about Bitcoin and Ethereum?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "Trust me, you want to look into it." So I did, and I went down the rabbit hole, and I've never looked back, because I realized in this moment that this was the future. This was going to change my life, and this was going to be the quickest way for me to see the financial gains that I want, and then be able to help people claim financial stability in their lives as well, because I'm a really, really, really big proponent on helping people create financial stability, as well as capitalizing on all of the different ways that you can be involved in crypto.
I'm gonna speak to what you just said, and people don't always consider this, what you're talking about. You said that you were motivated, or you're at least inspired by the fact that we recruit in the blockchain space. And our company actually made choices to look at crypto, and we realized what this was doing for us. But we realized that there's this scenario that a lot of people are in, right? Someone takes a job, right? And one of the things that I tell people, I'm going about this the wrong way, but what I tell people is, I want you to be in love with what you're doing without falling out of love with yourself. And the reason people fall out of love with themselves is disenfranchisement, right? It could be financial. It could be the boss is now sent you to the mailroom in the proverbial sense, whatever that is, right? Or what happens is people have a relationship outside of work, like, a spouse and children, et cetera, in a house. And now their choices are based on fear. It's a fear-based choice. I can't quit this job, right? Because then I'm not going to be able to give my wife, she'll think I'm a failure. My kids will think I'm a failure. Yeah, we have to get a smaller house, and we're going the wrong direction. That's also true of entrepreneurs who have clients, all right? It's also true of recruiters who serve clients. It's like, well, we can't fire these clients. And when we actually, we really pulled the whole Harrison Ford and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we just walked out blindly on faith on this. And we just decided we're not going to work with any clients that are I wanted to use a specific word, but I'm not for my PG rating, right? But that are difficult or unreasonable or disenfranchising or don't empower me or don't make me feel good about me. Right, the thing that makes me a recruiter to my core, and David, is that when we don't work with companies, we work with managers, right? But that's kind of indicative. You show me your crowd, I'll show you your future, right? The negativity begets negativity, and you'll find those in very bureaucratic places. So yeah, you're right. So what we did at Blockchain Recruiters is we said you have to have a cool project, and you need to make me really feel strong about empowering people, that I could say to somebody, hey, whatever projects you're on, stop it. You really got to hear about this, because if it's just about, hey, well, we're going to pay, an extra Bitcoin, that's the money. It's not enough. Like, the Bible says, what is a man to actually gain the world? Only their soul to pay. And nothing is more corrosive to that end in being in a job that one hates. And they may have started loving it. So, and what we at Blockchain Recruiters do is we aggregate. We're aggregating people. Anybody who's crypto, anybody who's blockchain, anybody who's NFT, you're in our database all over the world. So this is the first time we're having people call us. It's like, no, they can be wherever they are. Right. One guy in Cape Town, one guy in Madrid, one gal in Tokyo. I mean, it's like that. And what also what I'm starting to see is it's about what you can do, not how you present. Well, let's see. Yep. Did you go to the right Ivy League school? Did you work for Bain? Did you work for McKinsey? Right? And so that I see a lot of enfranchisement there. And I spoke entirely too long on that subject, but you made me catch the Holy Spirit.
You have a good point on that, man. Like, people don't care what your background is. Some people don't even care if you went to college. If you can code or if you can help me sell this thing and you have experience with community management, you can show me through your actions that you're valuable. And like, it's not to like say that a degree is not important or that it's not helpful or et cetera. But like, as it relates to this new and emerging industry that is crypto and blockchain, it doesn't matter as much as long as you are capable and show up and execute and hit your timelines. You do those things, it's all good.
Yeah, and in enthusiasm is infectious. It is.
Yeah.
Right. You can do it with enthusiasm and positive attitude. You know, you can really move some people.
Well, yeah. What's interesting is that the technology itself it's the reason people value it is because it authenticates, right? It authenticates through actual actions and actual things that have been done, versus a piece of paper that says, "Hey, you got this knowledge that you may or may not have," right? And I think that's irony in terms of what people actually value versus what people have valued to this point.
100%, David. Yeah, really good insight. We it's funny. When COVID started in March of 2020, in our state, the governor shut everything down. But I had come home from India because we had people I was training in India, and I was exiled to my son's bedroom, right? And my son came home and he was living in the living room, and he says, "Well, where am I going to be living?" I said, "You'll be living in the living room. That's why they call it the living room. That's where you're going to be living." No, but seriously, while I was there, exiled in this room because we were really afraid of COVID back then. Right? Hey, you were in India. You probably caught the creeping crud. You got it. Stay here. All my meals are brought to me. So I'm on the internet and I'm really and I'm looking into podcasts. And one of the podcasts I saw, there was this gal named Carthon, right? And she's from Colombia. She married a guy in Colorado. She came here, undocumented with her mother, right? And found her way, got documented, et cetera, et cetera. And, she got orange pilled. But the thing about it is she works for a company called Swan Bitcoin. Hey, there's a shout out to you, Camilla, and Swan Bitcoin, your company. No charge.
You'll call Camille. So
you haven't called her?
Well, I referred my dad.
Oh yeah.
So I need to get that.
Yeah, but anyhow,
shout out to Swan real quick. I had the CTO Jan Prisker on the show a while back, and it's one of the best shows I've ever done. Like, he's awesome.
Well, I'm glad you said that because we have a job for him, and we're not going to let him say no. But anyhow, at another company, right? Because we don't have love for Swan that way. We just want our Bitcoin going into our wallet. But anyhow, I digress. But the thing about her story is she's like this anonymous person. She has like no crypto experience, but she started making these TikTok videos, right? And she saw how the Swan Bitcoin was putting things out, and I think there's some dialogue that started. She says, "Hey, your videos are whack. They suck." Right? I mean, literally, it started like that. Well, what do you think? And literally, that dialogue turned into a full-time job for her as like a community manager, right? And this is the exact thing I'm talking about, right? Passion over pedigree, right? 100%. Hey, what do you, tell me about the causes that you're doing. What do you want my audience to know about you? How can people find you? I want to give you some time to talk about you and the things that are important for you as it relates to crypto or anything else for that matter.
Yeah, and I appreciate the floor. Like, ultimately, I want to help bridge the gap for people who know nothing about crypto with thought leaders in the space. And even if you do, and you're familiar with the space and want to learn more about new projects that are emerging and all the different ways that you can get involved in crypto, that's what cryptocurrency is all about, to keep you current on all the different things happening in cryptocurrency and blockchain. So we have a podcast that goes out every Monday and Friday of interviews that I do. And then we have what's called a CC Live, where we go live on YouTube every Tuesdays and Thursdays to give people updates on the latest news and different things to be looking out for in the space. Because again, knowledge is power, and we really want to empower you with the tools to go and act if you want to. A lot of people will give out a lot of great gems. Like, one of the people that I really enjoy is Gary Vaynerchuk. He gives out a ton of really great information, a lot of great nuggets, and basically gives away his secret sauce all the time. And he knows that of the millions of people that listen, maybe 1% are actually going to go and do something about it. And so my approach is I have nothing to hide. I want to give you all the tools. I want to give you all the stuff. And then if you want to go act on it, it's there for you.
1,000,000% will act on it. Wow, you're a downer. 1,000,000%. I'm kidding. Anyhow, and I disagree with you, but you're right. But you're not all the way right. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied is power. And
Applied
that having been said, for people, I'm going to give you some knowledge. Not everybody's watching this on YouTube. Okay, they're listening on Spotify and Apple. So why don't you verbally say to the people that are actually listening to this how they can find you?
So you can find us at www.crypto-current.co. You can find me on Twitter at Richard Carthon. You can also find us at _cryptocurrent_. And our website will have all of the various ways that you can find us. Also, you can find our podcast on all the social channels as well. And yeah, I mean, come chat with us, and happy to, if you ever have any questions, just hit me up.
I'm so grateful that you actually spent the time. And just for our audience, we have way too many jobs and way too many candidates. We can't be talking about candidates and jobs like we have been. So, I mean, whatever you want, we have them. Whatever you need, we have it. Okay? So give us a call sometime. I want to just say, Richard, thank you so much just for the heartfelt, earnest warmth and just dropping the truth and speaking your heart. It was really great. It's really refreshing. I know that our audience, I'm going to get a lot of replies on this one. We're going to get a lot of comments. Travis, our engineer, thank you so much.
No problem.
It's been a good week. David, Robo Recruiter, my co-host, thank you so much.
Eternally grateful.
Remember, I'm David James. And remember, everybody, get whispered.